Well, the Department of Homeland Security was created in the aftermath of 9/11. We were told that they were tasked with keeping America safe from terrorists, and in the event of a hurricane or something like that, they would be there to protect us and to help us. Well, nowadays, it seems that the DHS has actually turned into a heavily armed national police force that's actually terrorizing citizens. Here we have 6 vehicles full of DHS agents descending on private property in North Carolina. Why? They went there to seize a Land Rover that apparently didn't meet CO2 emission standards. Now, Jennifer and Bill Brinkley were satisfied. They made a $60,000 purchase of a Land Rover Defender on eBay, and they checked to make sure it complied with regulations, that it was a vehicle over 25 years or older, so it was exempt from these EPA rules. However, when the DHS agents turned up at the property, they compared the car's vehicle identification number to a list, and then they immediately seized the Land Rover, and the couple weren't even given a chance to debate the issue. So here we have the Department of Homeland Security. They're all geared up for a raid-type scenario. They descend on this couple's private property and seize their truck because the VIN numbers didn't match. Who knows how that happens on eBay? It can be kind of tricky to import a vehicle, but this couple thought that they were complying with EPA regulations, and they're like terrorists. They get their Land Rover seized. So not only do they have 30 days to contest this, but they have to, hopefully get their truck back, or else they're out of $60,000. Apparently, the Department of Homeland Security thinks that this is more important than protecting the porous borders and the fact that there are terrorists. Gang members can just roll right in through the southern border. And of course, we have the TSA allowing illegal aliens to board flights without even showing any identification. So who is protecting the homeland? That's not their job. It's clearly to terrorize Americans. But here is another ridiculous excuse to violate your rights. The NYPD is now scanning through thousands of innocent cell users' data in order to find any evidence that's related to those mysterious white flags that appeared on the Brooklyn Bridge last week. Yes, they are using a controversial technique known as the tower dump, and this allows officers to obtain all call, text, and data transmissions through cell towers during any specific time period. Now, this was confirmed by them. Obviously, we know, we're hearing about this tower dump technique now because of these white flags that are flying over the Brooklyn Bridge. Apparently, people think that that is more of a national security threat than an open border, a wide open border. But how many other states are employing this tower dump technique? We've already heard about the Stingray cell towers in Florida, but they have got to be, those type of techniques have got to be being employed in cities nationwide. And that's pretty much absurd, because here we have people sneaking up, raising the white flag of surrender, and apparently that is more of a national security threat than surrendering the borders of our country. Now, in some somewhat good news, we have the Albuquerque Police Department. They are considering scrapping the use of the MRAP armored vehicle. This was after a deluge of negative press attention and a lot of complaints. Citizens were going to the city council meetings that they were saying that this vehicle is a sign of America's slide into a militarized police state. Now, the APD, of course, is under intense scrutiny because their officers have been involved in the deaths of 27 people since 2010. That includes the shooting of that 38-year-old homeless man, James Boyd, who was executed, shot in the back when he was running away for the crime of camping illegally on a remote hill. Now, this is all being considered in light of a recent ACLU report, which warns that such vehicles are part of a transformation into a militarized policing, where Americans are now being treated like wartime enemies. And of course, now the APD is debating whether it should go ahead and scrap getting this vehicle. But it's kind of like, yeah, right, they're going to give up all of that power and all the ability to impress that tyranny upon the people there of Albuquerque. Now, Peter Simonson, who is actually part of the New Mexico chapter of the ACLU, says this would be a really good sign. It would be welcome and a symbolic gesture that says they realize they are sort of descending down the wrong path, and maybe these vehicles aren't really necessary to police its citizens. And now, as this article points out, although they might go ahead and scrap getting this vehicle, they are still going to be acquiring those 350 assault rifles that they had been ordering. But that's, this is just to point out how important it is for people to push back against this prison that is being built around us before it is too late. Here, of course, the ACLU is catching on that this is becoming increasingly an over-militarized country. The DHS is supposed to be protecting the homeland, not policing the homeland. Now, here is a great article up on Infowars.com. It's breaking down this theater of the absurd, and that is the bureaucratic hell that is the American police state. Now, it goes over some of the recent headlines, like the working mother who was arrested for letting her 9-year-old play unsupervised at a playground. Then we have a teenager who was forced to have his genitals photographed by police. They actually issued a search warrant to medically induce an erection, so that they can compare photos that this 16-year-old sent to his teenage girlfriend. And then, of course, we have a 16-year-old who broke into a home and was sentenced to 23 years in prison for shooting a retired police dog. He didn't kill the police dog, he just shot the police dog, and he, a 16-year-old, is being sentenced to 23 years in prison. Meanwhile, police are constantly shooting the family pet with impunity. So here we're just seeing how absurd this is. But the question here is, who is to blame for this bureaucratic nightmare that's being delivered by way of the police state? Is it the White House? Is it Congress? Is it the mobster mindset of the DHS? You know, is it some nefarious, shadowy government? Or is it the sheepish masses who are mindlessly marching in lockstep to anything the government dictates? Here, this is a Holocaust survivor that poses this question, saying people are expressing no outrage, they're demanding no reform, and issuing no challenge to the status quo. Is it these sheepish masses who are to blame for the prison walls that are being erected around us? And while Americans are watching sheepishly as the president surrenders our nation's borders, illegal immigrants are rallying their troops. That's coming up next. City of Austin tap water versus filtered City of Austin tap water.
I can taste dirt in it.
God knows what's in this.
This has an aftertaste. Tastes like Austin water?
Yeah, it does. Ugh.
These people just sampled City of Austin tap water straight from the faucet. Next, we had them try a sample of tap water filtered through the ProPure G2.0 filtration system.
High quality H2O.
That one is better.
Tastes like nothing.
Yep, I know what good water tastes like. It's good water.
Most tap water contains added substances like fluoride, chlorine, Monsanto's deadly pesticide, glyphosate, and many others. Studies prove that these substances are linked to an assortment of major health issues, including tooth decay, lowered IQ, and even cancer.
It tastes like you're drinking out of the lake when you're drinking tap water.
Yeah, it has that processed flavor to it.
The ProPure G2.0 filtration system removes these deadly substances and many more, leaving only fresh-tasting, deliciously clean water.
Okay, this is very tasty.
It's good water.
Refreshing.
It's good.
Go to InfoWarsStore.com today. Use promo code WATER and save 10% off your ProPure purchase. Again, that's InfoWarsStore.com or call 1-888-253-3139.